All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at energy-based spirituality, EBS for short.
Sounds pretty out there, right?
It does. But I'm actually kind of curious about it, especially after reading those excerpts you sent over from the Inklastrad text.
Ah, yeah, the Inklastrad text. It's really something.
It is. So what do we actually know about this whole EBS thing?
Well, it gets pretty deep, but I think the main idea is that energy is like the foundation of everything.
Okay, I can kind of see that. Everything's made of atoms. Atoms are energy.
Exactly. And EBS takes it further, saying that energy is behind our thoughts, emotions, even our spiritual connection.
That's interesting. So it's like our physical body is just one part of this bigger energy system.
Right, and that's where the aura comes in, that energy field that surrounds us.
Yeah, I've heard of auras, but always thought they were kind of, I don't know, mystical.
Well, the Inklastrad text actually breaks down the aura into different layers, each reflecting a different aspect of ourselves.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
So it says there's the physical layer closest to the body. It reflects our physical health and stuff.
Makes sense. Like if you're sick, maybe your aura is weaker.
Yeah, something like that. Then there's the emotional layer, which is more fluid. It reflects our feelings.
So if I'm stressed out, my aura would look different than if I was happy.
Right. It'd be all chaotic and jumbled, probably. And then as we go outward, there's the mental layer. This one's all about our thoughts and beliefs.
So like if you're a negative person, it shows up in your aura.
The Inklastrad text actually suggests that negative thoughts can create stagnant energy in this layer. It's wild.
Wow. So it's not just about energy flowing around us, but also about the quality of the energy in each layer.
You got it. It's like a whole ecosystem that needs to be in balance.
And the Inklastrad text talks about grounding, right? Like connecting to the earth's energy.
Yeah. It's crucial. It actually gives a specific grounding technique. They call it root tree breathing.
Root tree breathing. I like the sound of that. What is it exactly?
Basically, you visualize roots growing from your feet down into the earth.
Ah, so you're like pulling energy up from the earth.
Right.
And then what?
And as you exhale, you imagine sending any stagnant energy back down into the earth.
This is like a two-way exchange. Pretty cool. Does it say how often you should do this?
It emphasizes doing it daily, even if it's just for a few minutes, and that's a big part of EBS.
What do you mean?
It's not just about knowing the concepts. It's about actually doing these practices, putting them into your life.
Right, because what's the point of all this energy talk if it doesn't actually change anything?
Exactly. The Inklastrad text is all about making these ideas practical. Small, consistent practices can make a big difference.
So it's like working out, but for your energy. The more you practice, the stronger you get.
That's a good way to think about it.
Now, earlier you mentioned something about the aura having different layers. What else does it say about that?
Well, it's like each layer vibrates at a different frequency.
Frequencies, like radio waves.
Kind of, but energetic frequencies. And each frequency connects to a different aspect of ourselves.
Okay, that makes sense. So like our physical body vibrates at a different frequency than our emotions.
Right. And then there's the outermost layer, the spiritual layer. The Inklastrad text says this one connects us to something bigger.
Whoa, okay. Like to a higher power or something.
Exactly, like a bridge to the universal energy field.
So with all these layers and frequencies, it seems like things could get out of balance pretty easily.
Oh, definitely. And that's where things like grounding come in. But the Inklastrad text also mentions chakras. Have you heard of those?
Oh yeah, the chakras. I've heard they're like energy centers in the body.
They are. And the Inklastrad text has a unique perspective on them. It describes them as portals.
Portals. To where?
To different dimensions of experience, like the first chakra, the root chakra. It's at the base of the spine.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one. What does it do?
It connects us to the physical world. The Inklastrad text actually calls it the Earth Star chakra.
Earth Star chakra. That's pretty cool. So if your root chakra is blocked, does that mean you're disconnected from the physical world?
In a way, yeah. The Inklastrad text says it can lead to feeling ungrounded, insecure, even having physical problems.
Wow. So we've got this multi-layered aura that needs to be clear and balanced, and these chakra portals. It's a lot to take in.
It is. But the Inklastrad text is like a guidebook, helping us understand how all these energy systems work.
I'm starting to get really intrigued by all this.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Some people might be skeptical about this stuff.
Right.
What does the Inklastrad text say about that?
Well, it doesn't really try to prove anything scientifically.
So it's not like, here's a bunch of data to convince you.
No, instead, it encourages people to explore these ideas through personal experience.
So it's more about feeling it out for yourself. seeing if it resonates.
Exactly. It's like become your own researcher and see what you discover.
I like that. It puts the power back in your own hands. Speaking of experiencing things for yourself, I actually had something happen recently that I think might relate to this whole energy transfer idea.
Oh, tell me about it.
So I was feeling really drained after a long week, and a friend offered to do some Reiki on me.
Reiki. Interesting. Have you ever done that before?
Nope, never. I was a bit skeptical, but I was willing to try it.
And what happened?
Well, during the session, I felt this amazing warmth flowing through my body.
That's pretty common with Reiki. It's all about getting energy flowing.
Yeah, and afterwards, I felt so much lighter and more energized, like a weight had been lifted.
That's not unusual. It's like the Reiki helped clear out some stagnant energy.
It really did feel that way,
Yeah.
and it made me realize maybe there's more to this energy stuff than we realize.
I think so too. And that actually brings us to another important concept that the Inklastrad text talks about, interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness, like we're all connected.
Yeah, but it goes deeper than that. It's about the energetic mechanisms of that connection.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
So the Inklastrad text says our individual energy fields aren't isolated. They're constantly interacting and influencing each other.
So it's like we're all part of this big web of energy.
Yeah.
And our energy affects everyone else's.
Exactly. And that's not all. The Inklastrad text even suggests that our thoughts and emotions can ripple out through this web.
So it's not just about our own energy, but also the energy we put out into the world.
You got it. And that's something we'll be exploring more as we continue this deep dive into the Inklastrad text.
Well, I'm definitely ready to go deeper. This conversation is already blowing my mind.
Mine too. And we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to uncover.
Well, then let's keep going. Buckle up, everyone, because we're diving even deeper into the world of energy-based spirituality.
We were talking about this whole interconnected energy thing, and there's this part in the Inklastrad text that really stood out to me. It says something like, the universe is a symphony of vibrations, and each one of us is like a note in this huge orchestra.
I like that. It's like we each have our own unique sound that adds to the whole.
That's exactly it. And the text goes on to say that everything vibrates at a specific frequency. Thoughts, emotions, physical objects, even empty space.
So everything's got its own, energetic signature. But how do we actually experience that in our daily lives? Can we sense these vibrations?
Well, think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the energy change? Like it was heavy or light or.
Yeah, totally. I've definitely been in places that felt super creative and others that felt like, well, kind of dead.
Exactly. That's probably you picking up on the main frequencies in those spaces. The Inklastrad text says we're always tuning into these energies, whether we realize it or not.
So it's like we're energetic radios picking up signals and also sending out our own signals at the same time.
It's a great way to put it. And that's where this whole energy transfer thing comes in. The Inklastrad text says our energy fields can really affect each other.
Oh, like that Reiki thing I mentioned, where I felt like my friend was actually giving me energy.
Exactly. The Inklastrad text says energy transfer can happen in different ways, like through touch, through emotions, even through our thoughts.
Hold on. So even if we're not physically touching someone, our thoughts can still mess with their energy.
It's kind of wild, right? The Inklastrad text uses the example of a tuning fork. Like if you hit one and hold it near another one, this other one starts vibrating too, even though they're not touching.
Wow. Okay, so it's like our energies are constantly bouncing off each other, influencing and being influenced.
That's a great way to think about it. It's this constant exchange of energy. So it's super important to be mindful of our own state because,
Because if we're sending out negative vibes, it's going to affect everyone else.
Yeah, the Inklastrad text basically says that the higher our vibration, the more positive our impact on the world.
So if we're all stressed and anxious, we're basically bringing everyone down.
It can be like that, but the good news is we can actually raise our vibration if we want to.
How do we do that? Besides grounding,
The Inklastrad text talks about meditation being really important and mindfulness and just surrounding yourself with good vibes,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So being more peaceful and aware can actually change our energy. What about sound? The Inklastrad text mentioned sound therapy, right?
It did. It actually says sound is a powerful tool for energetic alignment.
How does that work?
It says certain sounds can resonate with our energy fields and help clear blockages.
So it's like sound can retune our energy. I've always loved music.
Yeah.
And I've definitely felt how it can change my mood.
Music is a great example. The Inklestrat text even talks about these ancient sound healing practices that use things like Tibetan singing bowls and tuning forks.
That's so cool. It makes you wonder if we're always being affected by the sounds around us.
Right. Something to think about. And it leads into another important idea from the Inklestrat text. It says our intentions are super important.
Intentions, like what we're thinking and believing.
Yeah. The Inklestrat text says they actually have energetic power, like they can influence how these practices work.
So if we're doing all this stuff, but we don't really believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to do much.
It might not be as effective. The Inklestrat text really emphasizes approaching these things with an open mind and being willing to experiment.
So be curious and see what happens. I like that. It's like it gives you permission to just explore and see what feels right.
Exactly. The more we open ourselves up to these subtle energies, the more we can learn about ourselves and how everything's connected.
This is so interesting. It's like EBS is more than just some practices. It's a whole different way of looking at the world.
You're getting it. And there's so much more to discover. As we keep going deeper into the Inklestrat text, we'll unlock even more insights about this amazing, interconnected reality we're all a part of.
Well, I'm ready to keep going. My mind is already blown wide open.
This Inklestrat text, it really emphasizes how everything's connected, Not just people, but like everything in the universe.
It's a pretty wild thought, right?
Yeah,
That we're all part of this giant energy web.
it really is. And remember those 3 goals of EBS that we talked about? Self-awareness, healing, and unity with the universe. I think they're worth exploring a bit more.
Yeah, they definitely seem important. So, self-awareness. What's the Inklestrat text say about that?
It basically says that self-awareness is about understanding our own energy, like
Yeah.
seeing our patterns and habits and strengths and weaknesses.
So it's like taking a good hard look at our energetic selves and seeing what's up.
Exactly. And once we see those patterns, we can start to change them. That's where the healing comes in.
Healing. So it's more than just fixing physical problems.
Way more. It's about restoring balance to our whole energy system, like on every level: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, the whole shebang.
So like we're basically fine-tuning our energy to be more in harmony.
Exactly. And the Inklestrat text says that as we heal ourselves, we naturally become more aligned with the universal energy field.
That's where the unity with the universe comes in.
Yeah.
But that's the part I'm having trouble wrapping my head around. What does it actually mean to be unified with the universe?
Well, the Inklestrat text describes it as a feeling of oneness, like transcending the idea that we're all separate and realizing that we're all connected on this deeper level.
So it's like we're all just drops in the same ocean.
Yeah.
But we are the ocean at the same time.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a pretty amazing concept. And the Inklestrat text says that as we work towards these 3 goals, self-awareness, healing, and unity, we can actually tap into a whole new level of potential.
So it's not just about feeling better or fixing problems. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves, energetically speaking.
Exactly. There's this one line in the Inklestrat text that really stuck with me. It says something like, the universe is always whispering its secrets to us. It's up to us to listen.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's like the answers are always there if we just know how to tune in. But with so much information out there, how do we know what to trust?
The Inklestrat text talks a lot about intuition, like learning to trust that inner voice that guides us.
So it's finding that balance between what we learn from outside and what we feel inside.
You got it. It's about integrating all these different sources of wisdom and creating a path that feels right for us.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about EBS and how it can help us grow and evolve.
Me too. And this is really just the beginning. There's so much more to explore in the Inklestrat text. But ultimately, it's up to each of us to take what resonates with us and create our own unique journey.
And for our listener who shared these fascinating excerpts from the Inklestrat text, I hope this deep dive has sparked some new ideas and maybe even inspired you to keep exploring this world of energy and consciousness.
Absolutely. If there's one thing we want you to take away from this, it's that you have the power to connect with this universal energy field, to heal yourself, and to create a life that truly reflects who you are.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep listening to that inner voice that guides you.
And remember, as the Inklestrat text says, we're all part of this incredible symphony of vibrations, each one of us playing a vital role in the grand orchestra of the universe.
What a beautiful way to put it. That wraps up our deep dive into energy-based spirituality. We hope you enjoy the journey with us. Until next time, keep those good vibes flowing.